Bonsoir, bonsoir à tous, Buenas, chez Xavier Veilhan, de droite, contemporain. Bonsoir à tous, bonsoir à tous, Buenas, chez Xavier Veilhan, de droite, contemporain. Pour mon geste, premier seconde, Buenas, une chez, LGBT, assuré, construit, obstructurant, idéologie, des news, des Yami Buenas, interrogadas, dans chez, biologie, panoramique, chinoise, introduit. Bonsoir à tous, Buenas, excellence, excellence, et en croise, magnifique, perfect, des droits contemporains. Pour vrai, comme soir, Buenas, chez, individué, accéléré, construit, obstructurant, idéologie, des news, des Yami Buenas, interrogadas, dans ce fait, voyager, panoramique, chinoise, introduit. Excellence, merci, excellence, merci. D'accord, merci, je te vois. D'accord, merci, je te vois. Beatrice, 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 minute, green, screen, does that mean? Beatrice, minute, green, screen, does that mean? En toute rubrique, adjectif, stress, lumière, droit, et minute, le lundi, stress, six, entouré, demi, being, street, dans toute rubrique, adjectif. Nucleas, libre-soise, nucleas, libre-soise, responsabilité, désirer, croire, engager, notre soin, détruire, et les garçons, les garçons, ils éliminent, et c'est qui correspond à votre contrôle, de droite, les places construites. D'accord? Aujourd'hui, conclusions, aujourd'hui, conclusions. Aujourd'hui, conclusions. Poi, qua, excusez-moi. Crédit à des apocalypses, biathlon, océan of clouds.
Beatus' commentary was to produce an exemplary illustrated tome of the Apocalypse. Beside the text, the manuscript contains 108 canonical images, 68 were based on the narrative of the Apocalypse, and 7 illustrations based on the commentary. which include the map of the world, the apostles, the four beasts, and the Ark of Noah. The success of the Beatus commentary led to the manuscript's replication at least 26 times over 8 centuries. Conventionally titled commentaries, these copies vary in language and style, but follow the same format as the original. This is an example of the Saint-Sever, the one that Kelly looked at. And then just an example of the commentaries. Here I have an example of the same scene in 4 commentaries. One is from the Facundus Beatus in Madrid, the Rylance Beatus at John Rollins University in Manchester, the Saint-Sever Beatus in Paris, and then Las Vegas.
Washington, Baby, and the Peace, in Paris, and Train, yes, and Train, yes, White Tree,
The Las Vegas Beatus at the Morgan Library in
White Tree, Las Vegas, White Tree, in the street, Morgan, University,
New York.
in New York.
The scene illustrated is called Six Trumpet, the Army of Horsemen over Lion-Headed Horses. Here they're illustrating chapter 9, verses 17 to 19. Quote, "And I saw the horses in the vision, and the horsemen had breastplates of fire, hyacinth, and sulfur, and the heads of the horses were like the heads of lions, and from their mouths came fire, smoke, and sulfur, and 1/3 part of men was slain by these 3 afflictions. For the power of these horses is in their mouths and tails. Their tails resemble serpents, and it's the heads that cause harm. And then men who were not slain by these afflictions did not repent from the works of their hands, from worshiping demons or idols, or their murders, drugs, fornications, and thefts." So from that vivid description, we have sort of 4 manuscripts that are employing this sort of same composition, more or less, and they're hundreds of years apart. So they're all sort of looking back at the same source, which is the original commentary, though probably not the original, but copies of the original, just because the original is actually not, it's lost. Like no one knows what it actually looked like. The Saint-Sever Beatus for the Abbey of Saint-Sever dates to the middle of the 11th century and is widely considered to be not only the best representation of the original commentary, but the one with the greatest pictorial wealth. Art historian John Williams called the Saint-Sever Beatus, quote, "a manuscript of singular beauty, a picture book par excellence." Abbot Gregory de Montagnard of Saint-Sever led the production of the commentary. According to Williams, the commentary was carried out by the chief designer Stephanius Garcia with at least 3 other illuminators. Williams believes Garcia's lead role accounts for the book's visual homogeneity. Despite being created in France, the Saint-Sever Beatus retains the Iberian visual tradition of other peninsular commentaries from Spain, which was made popular in the middle of the 10th century. With framed illustrated scenes and backgrounds of horizontally layered bands of bright colors, Williams comments on the manuscript's distinct polychromatic intensity unrivaled by early manuscripts. Alfred Kelly encountered the Saint-Sever Beatus through a 1943 facsimile at the library. There's actually a 1943 facsimile also at our library, which I went and looked at. And it's really just interesting to sort of look through it. You can only use it inside the library, so you can't really check it out. But anyway, it's easy to see why Kelly was drawn to the illuminated pages. Each depicted scene of the apocalypse is saturated with large swaths of colors: reds, yellows, blues, and greens. Kelly was not only interested in the presence of color, but how
Purity was not only intensity in the presence of color, but how. Brienne's purity was not only intensity in the presence of color,
how they were used in the composition.
Excuse me, again, they with the capacity in the composition, but how they with the capacity in the composition. Excuse me, I'm listening to the art contemporary.
Garcia and his limners made no attempt at perspective. Instead, painted the bodies of angels, saints, demons, and humans floating in solid blocks of color. Color took the place of walls and depths in these scenes. In addition to a flat perspective, narrative structure was flattened and indicated by the mono or duochromatic backgrounds. Two scenes on one page would be stacked on top of each other and divided by bands of color. For example, the page on the right depicts the scene of two prophets ascending into heaven on the upper register with red and magenta backgrounds, while the lower register with green and blue blocks of color shows an earthquake decimating the city. Kelly was not just carefully examining this book. He took meticulous notes of his observations. Take, for example, his sketch of the Revelation of St. John. The artist drew a basic outline of the scene and inscribed a color for each form. He also annotates for half a page.
Excuse me again. What that faith goes to that grace.
Militia was next across the finish line, having managed to overtake Patrick Arquet on the last few miles of the race, leaving Johan Rochon and the rest of the French team to settle for third as Biotherm sat at the top of the leaderboard. Leg 2 from Cowes to Cartagena was a relentless back and forth between the teams in the fight for first place. But again, Biotherm found an edge and gained another race win, stretching their lead with Wholesome PRB second and Patrick Arquet in third. Now in the Mediterranean Sea, the weather welcomed the teams with thunder and squalls, making the race to Nice a rough ride. Another race win for Paul Mayer and Biotherm into southern France, with Wholesome PRB taking second and Alagrande Mappe third. The start for leg 4 of the Ocean Race Europe, Nice to Geneva, was a zigzag east to Monaco before blasting south around the island of Corsica. As the teams pushed back north towards Italy, the wind faded away.
As the teams gradually back north towards Italy, they won tragedy. As the teams gradually back north towards Italy, they won tragedy.
Way as the wild
away can stay wildlife, away can stay wildlife. The observant graves, history is.
life visited. But the home team, Alagrande Mappe, was victorious, becoming the first boat to beat Biotherm in the competition so far, and an Italian win into the Italian city, making it all the sweeter. The final offshore leg from Geneva to Boca Bay, Montenegro, was the closest fight for first place that the race had seen. The weather, always changing, shuffled the pack multiple times over the 8-day marathon leg. Despite the renewed challenge from the pack behind, Biotherm rose to the top once again, sealing overall victory in the Ocean Race Europe 2025.
A pure moment of joy and happiness. We've just won that leg, but also it means we have also won the Ocean Race Europe. So that's kind of strange.
So track kind of a strength. So track kind of a strength. Congratulations for swimming race for 3 activities. Congratulations for 3 swimming race for 3 great activities. means we have also validity option. So trust can always change
Really
and really
amazing moment.
amazing moment. Trust can always change and really amazing moment.
A dominating performance by Beotherm means that they go into today's Boca Bay Coastal Race already as the event winner. But the final positions for 5th, 4th, 3rd and 2nd place will be decided on the beautiful waters of Montenegro this afternoon. Well, all of that racing means that the scores at the top puts Beotherm out of reach. It is 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th that are still to play for. Less than a point difference between Team Paprika and Team Wholesome PRB. And again, only 1 point between Alagrande Mape and Team Milizia. Those competitions, those places will come down to who beats who on the waters here in Boca Bay. Well, the 5-minute countdown has started. The breeze is funneling down between the mountains here in Montenegro and the boats are on the water. Let me bring in now my co-commentator for this event, Round the World Sailor Dee Kafari. Dee, we have been waiting for the wind. We have been waiting for this day for many weeks, but here we are. Conditions are good, sailors are ready.
Culmination of 5 weeks of relentless hard work and testing times for these sailors and these boats. And today has come picture perfect at the perfect time. Just literally at the dock off, we were questioning the wind. We now are seeing a nice steady 10 knots funneling in the bay. Great conditions for these guys to have their final race.
And I think speed is not going to be a given. I mean, with this wind speed that we've got here, it's enough certainly to get the boats moving, to get them going. We might get a little bit more than 10 knots, maybe. We might even maybe just see a little bit of flying. But they're going to have to work for it. We're going to be seeing the boats going fast only if they dial in and they bring their very best. We are under 4 minutes to go, so we might just have time to bring you the course and take a little bit of a look at how the racetrack has been laid out into the bay here in Montenegro, because the question will be who can find the best route around these corners. And it is a lot of corners. Pretty much a simple course, a square, a left-hand turn at each of the marks going around with 2 laps scheduled to run. However, the race control team have given themselves the option to finish early if the wind starts to fade away and the boats start to slow. For the moment, though, that's at the back of the boat right now with the little cap on, tiller in his hand, and he is going to be looking out right now for Team Wholesome PRB. He said it earlier, Dee, this start, so crucial, and even though we are 3 minutes to go for the gun, the 3 minutes before the start, it's everything.
It's all part of the start process. This whole 5 minutes and this countdown towards the literal gun to go is all about keeping momentum on the boat, keeping positioning so that as you deploy your front sail to hit the start line at full power, at the critical time. And I think with this course, the start is going to play a critical role. There's very little passing lanes. There's very few options. We've only got a tack at one end of the course and a jibe at the other end of the course to give you that chance. Otherwise, it's a procession. So who can be in clean air, who can be at maximum speed, and who's made the right sail choice?
Come join our exclusive preschool prep kids club. We have tons of fun printables, games.
When they left the dock, they didn't know which sail to use.
He is going to be looking out right now for Team Wholesome PRB. He said it earlier, Dee, this start, so crucial. And even though we are 3 minutes to go for the gun, the 3 minutes before the start, it's everything.
It's all part of the start process. This whole 5 minutes and this countdown towards the literal gun to go is all about keeping momentum on the boat, keeping positioning so that as you deploy your front sail to hit the start line at full power at the critical time. And I think with this course, the start is going to play a critical role. There's very little passing lanes. There's very few options. We've only got a tack at one end of the course and a jibe at the other end of the course to give you that chance. Otherwise, it's a procession. So who can be in clean air, who can be at maximum speed, and who's made the right sail choice? When they left the dock, they didn't know which sail to use. But now they've got all these sails up and they've all been testing the corner to see what sail they want for what angle.
trust not with the very is certainly the very. 虽然 trust not with the very is certainly the very. It's actually perfect to be right. Actually perfect to be right. What it is of the tree is tragedy. 请下次光 creativity is reacting. 请下一个双 creativity is reacting. To brush everybody up and off. To brush everybody up and out of this line. Reacting to brush everybody up and out of this area. and so, Jimmy Roll, River John, of York Wong, Anyek, and surgery, assisted catastrophe tracing the incidentally of charity files with the age, wealthy crowd, and body Alexon, escorted to the marvel of experience, and yet, straight young, at age, and young, straight young, justice, diplomacy of our own song, create to be quantity, extract flexing your muscular to become the best competitor. Your shadows against trade, a bastion of mutual strength and one, your destiny was trade integrate trade integrate web of routes that screen and draw the solidity, but soil quantity, but quality shared and naturally by the side of the beautiful. 什么这种，什么这种，把这种，我的故事不说，俺家继续睡，我的故事不说，俺家继续睡。 Xavier Veilhan réduit à cette histoire trois prix Veilhan de prix. Ils sont mieux, ils vont souvent voir. Nous pouvons simplement